That is connected with what is called you see, you are it is not a theoretical question because you cannot resolve these questions intellectually. So some intellectual or some theoretical formulation alone will not resolve it. You have to apply it. So armchair explanation or what is called this theoretical postulate will not do. So you have to apply it. So when apply, if you are ready to apply thing, and if these revolutionary sections who may have different perspectives, if they come to a minimum understanding for applying this, then this question can be resolved through application and through practice. My understanding is, comrade, it is through practice that you can resolve this plagiarism. That means this splitting among revolutionaries. If they have an approach to how we will practice our theory, then that theory which is suitable to concrete reality, based on that we can move forward. But now the question is that you should have an approach. You should have a patience. You should have an approach of engaging in revolutionary activity, and we should have a broad accommodative perspective. Only if that approach is there, you can resolve this question.
ఇప్పుడు నేను వేసిన ప్రశ్న ఓన్లీ మేధావులు క్వశ్చన్ చేస్తున్నారని సార్గా చెప్తున్నారు. ఇది అంటే కావడం ఎందుకు లేదు అనేది మనం క్వశ్చన్ చేస్తాం కూడాను. ఇన్ని తెగలు ఎందుకు ఉండాలి, ఇన్ని జెండాలు ఎందుకు ఉండాలి, అందరూ జెండాలన్నీ ఒక ఐక్యం కావాలి కదా అనేది వాళ్ళ డ్రీమ్, కలకంటున్నారు. దానికి ఎవరో ఒకళ్ళు ముందుకు వచ్చి వీళ్ళందరినీ కలుపుకుంటూ పోవాలి అంటే మీరు నేను కలుస్తానంటే కాదు కదా, పోరాటాల రూపంలోనే కలవాలి అనేది మనకు సంబంధించిన ఫిలాసఫీ కదా. అందుకని ఇప్పుడు నేను ఇంకోటి క్వశ్చన్ చేస్తున్నాను. కార్మిక ఆర్థిక పోరాటాలు ఈ మధ్యకాలంలో ఏమీ లేవు. దానికి కారణం
ఏ పోరాటాలు?
కార్మిక పోరాటాలు. కార్మిక పోరాటాలు ఆర్థికంగా వాళ్ళ వేతనాల కోసం కానీ ప్రమోషన్ కోసం కానీ మరో రకరకాలుగా కార్మిక పోరాటాలు ఉంటాయి. చాలా ఫ్యాక్టరీస్ ఉన్నాయని అవి కూడా ఈ మధ్యన సన్నగిల్లిపోవడానికి గల కారణాలు.
Ordinary people, there is a strong desire among them that all these parties should come together. For that, at least one party has got an initiative. In this context, coming to the question of workers, there is a lot of workload, economic problems. Even on their partial demands, there are no military struggles by the workers or working class. What is the reason for this lack of even militant economic struggles and economic demands? There are no militant struggles even on economic demands, even class struggles. What is the reason for that?
That's connected with the it's a political question. The workers, for example, today, many unions, many workers' unions are led by political parties, Communist Party, bourgeois parties, even fascist parties. For example, in India, the biggest union is supposed to be that of BMS, which is led by a fascist party, which is having a reactionary, fascist approach to society. We know. So when such a union or a working class being led by such reactionary fascist parties, is obviously we know. So the political leadership, I am saying not a party, which politics, what is the political leadership of the working class? That is a decisive thing. So only if you have a political perspective which is connected with the social transformation, because working class is the class which is capable of not only liberating itself but even the whole society. Working class is supposed to liberate itself from exploitation, and it has to liberate the whole society also. So it is interrelated. So today what happens is that most of the unions or many of the unions, there are unions which are led by those parties which are upholding neoliberalism, neoliberal policies, which are apparently may be called left even. They may be implementing neoliberal policies. So such parties cannot take up the task of the problem faced by working class today. Because today, because of the new labor codes, 44 labor laws have been abolished and instead 4 labor codes have been formulated. From this we know that even the erstwhile, even those rights which were remaining there during the colonial days, even those rights were denied. 8 hours work is now extended to 12 hours work. There is nobody to fight against that. So all unions, established unions, some are led by revisionists, some are led by fascists, and many are led by even NGOs, even apolitical leadership. So such unions are not in a position to take up the task because their perspective of the working class problem, social problem, the approach to the neoliberalism. So all these are interconnected. So only if the leadership, the unions are capable of saving themselves. That means at least they should be capable of demanding and capturing their basic rights. As you said, the economic rights or their minimum wage rights, even that is not at all possible for them. Then we cannot even think of the other political, long-term, strategic tasks. So this is the question.
The second part of this question is why communist parties or Marxist parties are unable to build up a strong trade union movement, a strong workers movement. Why the bourgeois parties, even such a fascist parties, have gained upper hand in that? What is the reason for that?
That is not connected with these trade union alone. The Marxist-Leninist parties, the revolutionary parties, they are facing these limitations all around, not only in the workers' front, everywhere. Youth, students, peasants, everywhere that limitation is there. This is not connected to the working class. So this question should be resolved. It's a political, ideological, organizational question. So it is taking up this question, or it is to resolving this question, can they lay to the working class movement also? So it is a general question, why, what are the problems there, sectarianism is there, these Marxist-Leninist parties there, this sectarianism which is there, by which they are not in a position to link their strategic objective with the immediate. For example, working class their economic demand should also be met. And only by engaging in such struggles, these struggles can be turned into political struggles. But now even economic struggles are not at all being even resolved. So even that is not met. So the problem is that ML forces, Marxist-Leninist forces, because of their so many what is called the baggage, so many histories, so many their this is there, baggages are there, by which that is limiting them to engage in the various tasks which is upon them. They are not doing, or they are incapable. So this is a question that we have to take up in the proper perspective. It is not a working class question. It is a question connected to the present movements. For example, today the present struggle is developing. There the ML forces are a fringe group, or where so many other required development, required interventions are there. So this is a political, ideological, organizational question which is faced by the revolutionary movement, the ML movement, and it should be resolved by applying Marxist-Leninist theory according to the concrete situation.
ట్రేడ్ యూనియన్ ఉండకూడదు అంటున్నారా? ట్రేడ్ యూనియన్స్ ఎంఎల్ పార్టీలకి అనేక రకాల ట్రేడ్ యూనియన్స్ ఉన్నాయని యానంలో కూడా పెద్ద స్ట్రగుల్ జరిగింది కదా.
ఏంటంటే ఈ ట్రేడ్ యూనియన్ సేవలు కూడా బలంగా లేకపోవడాన్ని వితౌట్ బిల్డింగ్ అప్ మిలిటెంట్ స్ట్రగుల్స్ హౌ కెన్ యూ develop or improve your Marxist-Leninist understanding of the concrete situations. So that means what is the relationship between development in the Marxist-Leninist understanding and building of the military struggles. So only by building of the military struggles, a party or parties will be able to overcome, will be able to unite. So struggle is a struggles first.
And this is a dialectical question. Earlier the question I have to, before coming to this question, I have to say one point, because the working class struggle can be developed only by joining with the people's struggles. Because now peasant struggles are developing. So the working class should come forward, supporting and uniting with them. This will in turn enable the development of the working class movement also. So working class should not be isolated. They should not be a class. They should be remaining as a movement or a union that's serving their own interests. They have to integrate with the whole society, the whole people's movement, the whole struggles. Regarding the second issue, which you just asked, question you raised, that means this militant struggle and this revolutionary task. That is the question. Now these both are dialectical, interrelated. So militancy alone, without an ideological political life, militancy alone will not solve. Theory alone will not solve. You have to practice it. So both the militant struggle, both agitating but with very militant struggles, along with the political clarity, both are required. Both organization and political, this dialectical relation should be properly put forward. Militancy alone or theory alone, both are not actually, it is not correct, it is not Marxist. So it should be interrelated. So if you have proper analysis, proper political perspective, that we have earlier said, and it can be implemented through militant people's struggles. So both are interrelated. Dialectical relation is needed. Dialectical approach is needed to organization and theory or politics.
ఇప్పుడు మిలిటెంట్ స్ట్రగుల్ ఒకటే కానీ లేకపోతే ఒక రాజకీయ సిద్ధాంతం అధ్యయనం ఒకటే కానీ ఈ రెండు ఉద్యమాన్ని ముందుకు తీసుకునే పరిష్కారం కాదు. ఒక ప్రస్తుత పరిస్థితుల మీద స్పష్టత ఉండాలి, సిద్ధాంతాన్ని జోడించాలి, రెండు వైపున మిలిటెంట్ స్ట్రగుల్స్ ని
ఎలా బిల్డప్ చేస్తాం అది నేను
చెప్తున్నాను. ఆ క్లారిటీతో పార్టీని నిర్మించుకుని ప్రజల్లోకి వెళ్ళి వాళ్ళ సమస్యల మీద పోరాటం నిర్వహించాలి. అప్పుడు ఈ రెండు ఉన్నప్పుడు మాత్రం ఈ రెండు కాడికి జోడెద్దులాగా వెళ్ళినప్పుడు మాత్రమే ఈ అన్ని స్ట్రగుల్స్ ముందుకు వెళ్తాయి. అలా కాకుండా ఒంటెద్దు లాగా పెడితే ఏమీ ఫలితం ఉండదు. కొంతకాలం ఓన్లీ స్ట్రగుల్, ప్రతి కూడా స్ట్రగుల్ అని చెప్పేసి ఇచ్చేశారు. ఆ తర్వాత సెట్ బ్యాక్ అయిన తర్వాత కొంతమంది ముందు సిద్ధాంత సంఘం చూసుకుందాం చేస్తున్నారు. కానీ ఈ రెండు కూడా ఏకపక్షం. వీటి మధ్య గత్తార్కిక సంబంధం చూసారా, ఆ గత్తార్కిక సంబంధం కూడా లోపించింది. లోపించే వల్ల మిలిటెంట్ స్ట్రగుల్స్ ఉన్నా అవి సక్సెస్ కావట్లేదు. అవి లేకపోతే అసలు ఏమి సక్సెస్ కాదు, స్ట్రగుల్ లేకపోతే. కానీ ఈ రెండు జోడింపు చాలా అవసరము. ఆ జోడింపు దగ్గర వాళ్ళ సమస్య అంతా కూడా వస్తూ ఉంది. దాన్ని పరిష్కరించుకోవాల్సిన అవసరం.
I have to add one thing. So militant people's struggles are so many in the world. There are so Arab Spring, Latin America, all over the world the people's struggles are advancing. So many people's struggles are developing. But the absence of a revolutionary force, the absence of the revolutionary leadership is the main issue there. It is because of the absence of a revolutionary leadership, a correct leadership, which can lead these people's struggles to the victory or to its logical conclusion. That is the main thing. So, if a revolutionary party is there, if a correct political ideological line is there, then you can make use of militant struggles. In the absence of a revolutionary leadership and orientation, even if militant struggles are there, such struggles may be deviated, such struggles may be led astray. That means political achievement will not be there. That also is there in our experience is there. So it is not a question of lack of militant struggles. Militant struggles should be there, but it also should be linked with a political ideological perspective. So both should be understood in the dialectical perspective. I am not saying that militant struggles are there. Military service should be there. But military service alone are insufficient for revolution. There should be a political ideological leadership.
Follow your
ఫాలో ఓకే. ఈ మధ్యకాలంలో మహిళల మధ్య అత్యాచారాలు పెరిగిపోవడానికి గల కారణం ఏంటి?
question. Of late, the atrocity on women are steadily increasing. What is the broad reason for this?
This is because now we are in a world where corporate capital, neoliberalism, and it is now what is called these capitalist forces. They are now collaborating with all decadent, all reactionary forces. Even erstwhile progressive women's movement, even those led by bourgeois leadership. Even now today, even those achievements have gone by. That means whatever achievements were there in society, even Renaissance movement, even erstwhile communist movement, revolutionary advancement. So today we are facing an all-round setback. Neo-fascism is coming, far-right policies are advancing, and it is part of this. All patriarchal values are coming. So these patriarchal, reactionary, obscurantist ideologies are bouncing back with intensified vigor, coming from the dustbin of history and dominating. So this can be resisted fully, and it is part of that. It is part of that women is facing in family, in outside, everywhere, women is facing intensified oppression from patriarchal forces, and especially in our country, where Manusmriti, where Manusmriti is dominating, the Manivada. According to them, women is subhuman. Subhuman means not even equal to human beings. They are even below cows. Even cow is given more importance than women. This is Manusmriti. Where Dalits and women are subhuman, not even equal to men. This is Manusmriti. So such a philosophy is now ruling, is dominating in our country, led by RSS forces. So if they come to power, then Manu code will be dominating. So in that such a situation, women will not have any freedom. Have you seen Manusmriti? All these things are said about women there. So such a Manusmriti is, even though it is not officially came into force, such views are dominating. This is quite natural. And all religious forces, not only these Hindutva forces, even all religious forces, even Islam, Christianity, all religious forces are against women. They are all male dominated. They are all going to impose their hegemony, their dominance over women, half of the society. So it is by suppressing, it is by oppressing, and it is by exploiting even family labor, everything. So it is a kind of an exploitation, suppression, oppression on women that the present social system is maintained. It's quite natural. And now we are in a reactionary, we are in a reversal. That means all erstwhile advancement, all democratic ideals, all movements, even socialist advancement that we have, all are now reversed. So it is reversing these reactionary process. Can women's liberation and women's advancement is possible? It's part of a totality. At the same time, we need specific intervention in the realm of women, building up women's movements and building up a militant working class women's movement. That is also very important.
కేంద్ర రాష్ట్రాల ప్రభుత్వాలపై వైరుధ్యంలో మార్క్సిస్ట్ లెనినిస్ట్ దృక్పథం ఏంటి? ఒక కేంద్ర అంటే ఒక రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వాలకు మధ్యన వైరుధ్యాన్ని మార్క్సిస్ట్ లెనినిస్ట్ సూత్రీకరణతో ఎలాగా మనం పరిష్కారం చేస్తాం?
How we resolve from the Marxist-Leninist point of view, standpoint of view, the contradiction between the central state and the ruling setup in the states.
is not of course, when as Marxist-Leninists, we should take the concrete situation. But we are internationalists. For us, the working class, we are for workers' unity, oppressed workers and oppressed peoples of the world unite. That is our slogan. But today in India, we know that the centralized, fascist, corporate fascist Indian state, that is now taking away whatever democratic rights in this country. So this federalism, federal structure of the constitution is actually, if it is existing, it is against the consolidation of power by the corporate fascists. So it is natural that when the fascist advancement is there, when corporate fascism is advancing, it cannot coexist with the federal state structure. Federalism is not possible. For example, GST, goods and services tax. It is a corporate tax on the people. So it's a unitary approach. So this is a corporate example why a corporate tax reform. So when corporatization is advanced, even farm loans, states are not consulted. This agriculture is in the state list. Regarding agriculture, the state legislatures are empowered to enact laws, but that constitutional right of the states are being violated. So it is being superimposed. So when corporatization, corporate fascism, this centralization is part of fascism. So it is our duty as communists today. We have to join with the communists alone cannot take up this task. We are a small force, so we have to join with the democratic forces. All those forces who are for a strong federalism. It is not a socialist task. It is actually what is called in our words, it is a democratic, it is a bourgeois task. Bourgeoism is a democratic task, we say. So for even fulfilling the democratic task, the communists have to join with all like-minded forces, all democratic forces, all progressive forces to reverse the present fascist offensive that undermine the federal structure of the country. So that is also part of social transformation. Okay.
సార్ ఇప్పుడు కేంద్ర ప్రభుత్వంతో కొట్లాడుతున్న రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వాలకి మన పార్టీ ఏదైనా వాళ్ళతో ఆ మిలిటెంట్ పోరాటాల్లో మనం కూడా పాల్గొంటాం. ఒక
If
ఫాసిస్ట్
some state governments are struggling against the central government's policies, whether our party joins hands with such state governments or such bourgeoisie parties.
Definitely, we because in the anti-fascist struggle, fascism is the terrorist, reactionary dictatorship of corporate capital. So against that, whoever fights against this terrorist dictatorship, we should be joining with them. But those states which are fighting against the center, there are ruling class contradictions. Contradictions among ruling classes are there. It is because of this ruling class contradiction, some states may be fighting against the center while they are implementing neoliberal policies. States implementing neoliberal policies. Neoliberal policy means policies which are serving capital. But such states are not fascist. Neoliberal policies, the basis of fascism today, fascism is originating from neoliberalism. But all neoliberal parties and all ruling class parties are not fascist parties. So today when we are in a united struggle against fascism, we have to join with all forces who are for fighting against fascism. But at the same time, we must understand that today a ruling class party who is upholding or which is upholding neoliberalism cannot defeat fascism because it is their ideological political position is weak, because there is every possibility for fascism to originate from a neoliberal position. So we should be conscious of that, keeping your mind open, that we should be very vigilant that such forces will not be capable to lead the anti-fascist struggle, but at the same time, we should join with all forces who are in the present context fighting against the corporate fascist central regime. We should, but we should be very vigilant. They can deviate. Any moment they can be won over by, they can be bought over by the fascist forces. We know from our experience in India.
Okay.
ఇప్పుడు ఢిల్లీలో జరుగుతున్నటువంటి రైతాంగ పోరాటాల మీద మన పార్టీ లైన్ స్టాండ్ అంటే నేను అంటే చదివాను కదా.
What is our party standard line
చెప్పారు.
on the struggle that is going on by farmers are waging here
Yes.
at the Delhi border?
The farmers of India, they have already declared that they are against the corporate fascist state. They are fighting against the corporate fascist regime. Not only the corporate fascist regime, they are fighting against even the Supreme Court. They have rejected the Supreme Court offer of mediating for the central government. And instead they have also put forward a committee, who are also supporters of fascism, of corporatization. So the farmers have already declared that they are against the corporatization policies and the state which is implementing corporatization and the methods of this implementation. They are challenging that. Number one. Secondly, the farmers are, even they have also raised so many other questions. They said that those who are in jail, they should be released. They have made, they started joining with all democratic forces. All those who are fighting for democracy, they are ready to join with them. They are open. They are ready to join with all forces who are fighting against corporatization policies. So not only against agriculture, against all types of corporate fascism the farmers are fighting. So it is obvious that we should unite with them. Our party, CPM and Rashtar, is wholeheartedly uniting with the farmers movement, understanding that in the present context of fascism, corporate fascism, corporate suffering fascism, it is directed against the corporate fascist state. So unconditionally, we are supporting this struggle based on the objectives, based on the aims which the farmers are saying. Now they are saying that they are against the corporatization policy. So we are supporting, we are uniting with them.
The implication of the question is whether just you are supporting it or you are actively participating it or you have any plan even to lead it.
We are actively involved in it. We are in the struggle at the state level also. Wherever our party is working, our party is active at the state level. We are uniting with all like-minded forces to create a political atmosphere, we are struggling against the, for example, Adani Ambani establishments. The farmers have targeted the enemy because the country, the wealth of the country, the income of the country, because of corporate facilitation, the whole wealth of the country is concentrated in the hands of a few corporates. The peasants' income is gone down, while the corporates, their income has quadrupled. It is 4 times under Modi. So it is quite natural that the farmers have targeted the real enemy, and therefore we joining with them, involving that with the whatever force we have, we will try our best to come to the front of that struggle. And at the state level also we are developing this struggle. At the all India level we are involving. So to what extent, that the degree, the extent to which we involved in that depends on our organizational advancement. Depending on that, we will advance. Our political perspective is clear.
ప్రజానాయకులపై ఈ మధ్యకాలంలో ఉపా చట్టంగా ఎందుకు అరెస్టులు జరుగుతుంది? దానికి ఆ చట్టాన్ని మనం తొలగించడం కోసం మన హైకోర్టులో కూడా సత్యనారాయణ న్యాయమూర్తి గారు ప్రజానాయకులపై ఉపా చట్టం ఉండదు అనేది ఒక స్టేట్మెంట్ వచ్చింది కదా. హైకోర్టులో పిటిషన్ వేశారండి, ప్రజా సంఘాల నాయకులపై ఉపా చట్టం వర్తించదు అనేది ఒక న్యాయమూర్తి గారు ఒక జీవో ఇచ్చారు సార్, అంటే జడ్జిమెంట్ ఇచ్చారు ఆయన. కానీ ఇప్పటి వరకు వాళ్ళని ఇంకా రిలీజ్ చేయలేదు. బెయిల్ పిటిషన్ వేస్తున్నా కూడా రిజెక్ట్ చేస్తున్నారు.
The question of arrests of the leaders of mass organizations like Varavar Rao, Teltumde, or CLC leaders, or caste annihilation
Yes.
struggle committee leaders. They are not underground, but still, why? First question, why the governments are arresting them? Not only central government, various state governments. And recently, in the Telangana High Court, a judgment came that mass organizations leaders, open mass organizations, they should not be arrested under UAPA. But still, those who are arrested are not released. Is it tenable? Is it tenable? What is the standpoint of your party on this?
It is obvious that we are for whatever be their positions. Every individual, every citizen in this country has the right to uphold his views, to propagate that views. So unless the person or the movement is directly coming into conflict with the state, then according to the law, the state can, that is another question. But today, because one holds a particular view, for example, for our party, we are not, I am openly saying, we are not upholding Maoism. We are not saying that Maoism is the correct one. Maoism, we are not accepting Maoism as Marxism-Leninism. We say that Maoism is a variant, is a deviation from Marxism-Leninism, for our understanding. But if somebody upholds Maoism, even you see, Maoism is a usage, is a terminology never used in China, even under Mao. It was now upheld by certain other groups, which are not taking all forms of struggle. That is another question. I am not coming into this person. But even if one is a Maoist, our position is that it is his right to uphold that view, unless he makes it a law and order question. But the government today, the Modi government and even some state governments are imposing UAPA and even unleashing NIA on their enemies. They are using these urban Naxals, such other phrases, for terrorizing the people. And those who are writing, those who are speaking, those who are writing poems, those who are singing songs, those who are those who are making art and literature, so they are being arrested. This is fascism. The basic thing in a democracy is the right to dissent. The right to dissent is basic. So you have every right to dissent. So that fundamental right to dissent is being taken away, and now the corporate fascist state here, the Modi regime, it is not tolerating even the right to dissent. There is no right to public opinion. This is a fundamental right. So it is not an ideal. We are not saying that these people are ideal. That is another question. But whatever be their ideology, we are for immediate release of all those who are arrested and put in jail. That is our position. They should be immediately, unconditionally released, and they should be given freedom as long as they are using the existing situation. They are teachers, professors, poets, writers, and they are put in jail. This is fascism. So our position.
ఓకే.
నాకు టాబ్లెట్స్ వెళ్తే